To the Forum, your way to keep up with state and community leaders, experts, and local business leaders. This is your chance to hear from and talk to people that affect your life right here in Rim Country. You can express your opinions by calling 474-2427. And remember, the comments and opinions of guests and callers are not necessarily the opinions of KMOG. Welcome to Rim Country Forum.
Good morning, 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Charlie Serafin with you on the Forum this morning. Want to thank our sponsors. Before we begin, the Dana Law Group, Banner Health, Payson Medical Center, Pinnacle Propane, Realty Executives Arizona Territory, the Owens Law Firm, and Sunshine Cleaning and Restoration, local businesses all, and we ask you to patronize them and tell them Charlie sent you. Well, I got a lot of stuff to cover today, folks. First off, I'm going to tell you that on Friday, we won't have Common Sense Friday this week because it's rodeo week. So Friday is going to be the rodeo program. And so we kind of are going to switch the Common Sense Friday to today, because it's Monday, so it's Common Sense Monday instead of Common Sense Friday. That basically means that if you've witnessed something out there, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples of common sense, then by all means share them with us. And if you see things that kind of are a little troubling because they defy common sense, then I ask you to share those as well. The number is 474-2427. Before we get rolling, I have to thank Brenda Case and all of the people at the Rim Country Chamber of Commerce who did a wonderful job on Friday evening with the cornhole tournament. I'll be honest with you, wasn't Steve Ray and I went out and represented KMOG. Wasn't really particularly looking forward to it, but it was a great time, and it was really fun, especially when we figured out what we were doing and started throwing a couple of the bags in the holes, and KMOG got third place. And I want to congratulate the Shuckers, the Payson Plumbing Solutions, and the Corn Pops from Powell Place. They were the big winners. They were ahead of us. One of them got first, one of them got second, but it was a fun thing. It was a friendly competition. Most of the competitors were exceptionally nice, and if you made a shot, they would say great shot or good job or something, and we all shook hands afterwards. There were no hard feelings, and it was a fun competition, and Steve really, he held his own. He bailed me out time after time, and we had a lot of fun. We got into the losers bracket because we lost our first match because we didn't know how to keep score. Today is a day of apologies and explanations, okay? So I'm just going to put it all out there. But we honestly did not know how to keep score. We kept score incorrectly and ended up losing. And after that, we learned how to keep score. And I think we won about 7 matches in a row, and then we lost finally to one of the 2 finalist teams. But it was all in good fun. And you wouldn't think that something as simple as cornhole is as challenging as it is after you've done it all day long. Your arm gets tired, your knees get a little tired. It was kind of a workout, which I know that sounds really ludicrous, but it really was. It was a lot of fun. So thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Chamber. You guys did a great job, and it's going to be an annual event. And the most interesting thing is that Brenda told me that she, with help from her son, built all of the boards. And so there were 10 lanes. That means they built 20 of these cornhole deals, and they all had the chamber logo on them, and they were really professionally done. They just looked awesome. And to consider that they were homemade is just really special. So Brenda's a great person, always a lot of fun, and she did a wonderful job. So hats off to Brenda and the chamber. And if you see her, tell her we gave her a nice salute, okay? And I also need to apologize. Last week, I mentioned the name of Payson Jason. I was wrong. It was not Payson Jason who recorded the commercial that ran on the community access low power FM station KRIM here in town. It was another person apparently that formerly worked at KMOG who did the spot. But the point of the story, so I apologize to Jason because it made it sound like Jason was being on another station, which he wasn't. So that was wrong. I screwed up. I made a mistake. It's my fault, and I'm sorry. The point of the whole rant last week, however, was not about whose voice it was. It was the fact that if you're running a community access low power FM radio station, you can't play commercials. You can't sell commercials. You can't take money for commercials. It's against the law. It's against the rules. And there's another aspect to that document, the FCC document, that licenses these community low power FM radio stations. And the point of it is that if you own a radio station, or you own a television station, or you own a publication, you cannot be involved with a community access station. Okay? And so if you do, you're in violation. Now, I'm going to ask that as a trivia question this morning and see if you can come up with the answer. Why do you think that the FCC says you can't own a radio station or a television station or a publication if you're involved with a community access station? What would be the point of that? Why would they think that? And I've got a prize for you if you can explain that. All right, but my real rant this morning is about how we run our state parks. Now, I hope there's somebody who's listening from the state park system, and they can call and they can give me a much better explanation. But I'm going to go way back in time. When I lived in Florida, I was evacuated at one point actually twice, for hurricanes. We have hurricanes in Florida. I lived right on a barrier island on the coast, and just outside St. Augustine, Florida. And so the hurricane evacuation order comes, you jump in the RV, load up the dogs, grab the photos, which I forgot, and head out to evacuation, not knowing whether your house is going to be there when you come back or not. So I went inland, and the traffic was bumper to bumper on the freeway. Everybody was being evacuated, and I pulled off and kind of wound my way back, and I made it to a state park. And I waited outside the state park. It was locked. I drove all night long. And first thing in the morning, went up, and the lady said, "We're all full." And I said, "I'm really sorry, but is it okay? I'm going to just leave my RV right here on the driveway because I have no place else to go. I've been evacuated. I can't go home, and I don't know where I'm going to be safe. So I know we seem to be safe here, and I'm going to stay here." And, well, long story short, she eventually said, "Well, okay, you can go in." And so I went in, and she gave me a spot, and I paid and went into the spot. And when I got there, what I saw was about 3/4 of that state park in Florida was empty. There were no RVs there. The slots were just open. And I waited, and it was another day went by, and they were still empty, and another day went by, and I stayed there about 4 days, I think. And when I left, it was still about maybe a third, not quite a half, full. And that made me start to wonder. So in the future, when I booked reservations, a lot of times it would say, full, and then you'd call the place, and they'd say, "No, we're full." But eventually you could kind of squeeze your way in. And then when I did get in, every time that I went, I saw the same thing. It said it was full. The sign out front says it's full, but you get inside, and it's not even close to full, and it never filled up during the whole period of my stay. So I thought, well, maybe that's just the state parks in Florida. So in the RV here in Arizona, went up to Show Low, had a reservation. First, one time we drove up and just said, "Can we get in?" "No, we're full." Okay, so we made the reservation online and went through the process, waited a couple of weeks, went in, and when we got there, they said, because of COVID, we're going to keep every other campsite vacant. I went, okay, that doesn't make a lot of sense. We're RVing. We're definitely more than 6 feet of separation, but okay, I could sort of get that. So we get there, and the spot next to us at Fool Hollow, if you've ever been there, you know how it's laid out. They have one spot sort of in the back, a little bit closer to the lake, and then one spot on the same driveway further forward. And I guess those are buddy sites. If you're traveling with a family or something, you could book the whole area. But the one next to us, the one behind us, was empty, as they said it would be. But the two on either side of us were also empty. And so before we checked out, I said, let's just drive around through all of the campsites. And son of a gun, if it wasn't exactly the same thing. It was like 1/3 full, but the sign at the gate said full. So I thought, wow, there's 2/3 of these empty campsites. And so, okay, well, whatever. So, but we like to use RV, and we like that particular place. It's a beautiful lake, and if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. You can do the day visits there as well. So anyway, we booked, and you have to book a year in advance because everything is full, right? So we booked a year in advance, and when it came up to our time to go in April, we got a call. Your reservation is being canceled. You'll get a refund. Well, why is it being canceled? Well, it's being canceled because of COVID. Well, what do you mean it's being canceled because of COVID? You're already doing every other spot, and now you're going to cancel us because of COVID? Okay, a little frustrating. Guess what? May rolls around. We just got a call. We canceled your May reservation. Well, why? Because of COVID. Well, what do you mean? Because of COVID. We have to cancel your reservation. Even though I know in my mind's eye, I've already been through this drill. I know that it's not full. Okay, take a deep breath. Now, we have the new CDC guidelines. No longer, if you've had the vaccine, or in my case, I have tested positive because I have COVID antibodies, because I've had COVID, did not die. This is not my after death ghost spirit speaking to you. It's a real live human being. So anyway, we just got a call right after the CDC announcement of the restrictions being lifted. Guess what? It's the state park system. Guess what? Our reservation has been canceled for September. What? The reservation has been canceled for September. Why? Well, because of COVID, of course. Do you see a pattern here, folks? Because on Common Sense Monday, I think there's a pattern. But to their credit, here's what, I always try to find the bright side, and here's the bright side. If you go camping and you're lucky enough to get in to an RV site or a campsite at a state park, you'll have a wonderful experience because you'll have basically the whole park to yourself. There's nobody there. Every other spot, or in the case of the places that I know about in Florida, or in the case of Fool Hollow, probably 2/3 of the campsites will be empty. So why does that happen? Well, let me explain my theory, and this is only a theory, and that's why we do a program open phones like this, so you can call and say, no, Charlie, you're absolutely wrong, and here's the truth, because I'm looking for the truth. But here's my theory. If you have 2/3 of the campsites empty, there are a lot fewer bathrooms to clean. You don't have to worry about cleaning the toilets as much. You don't have as much work in the showers. You don't have as many campsites that you have to rake out afterwards. You don't have as many people that you have to answer questions if they have questions or concerns. And the people who are at the campsite are having a wonderful time. They're going to write a great review. Oh my gosh, it was so quiet. So now, and this is the kicker. The real kicker is try to get a reservation at a private campground. Even if they're full, they'll probably put you on the driveway because they're trying to maximize revenue. That's their goal. The private camp are throughout the West. It doesn't matter, from the coast all the way up to the Mississippi River. All the private campgrounds that you call are running at full capacity. They're packing them in. Because, why? It's a business. They have a profit motive. They're trying to make money. That's why they do it. So if you call, they'll even put you on a wait list and call you back if somebody cancels. What happens if somebody cancels at the state park system? I don't know for sure, but I have a theory. My theory is that if you book a place and then you cancel, they just put it into the special file, and that one will go unused. So there's lots of things that There's lots of things to celebrate in life. There are a lot of wonderful things, and every once in a while there are things that really just bug you. And a couple of things that bug me is when non-commercial radio stations that are licensed not to play commercials, and they are commercials. You know the difference. If it's not a commercial, it's called a name and claim, and that says this program is being sponsored in part by XYZ Plumbing, in the plumbing business since 1974. Okay, that's okay. That's a name and claim. It says kind of what their name is, and you can say one little simple thing about it. Here's the difference. This program is sponsored in part by XYZ Plumbing. They've been in business since 1974. You know the friendly staff. They wear the great uniforms. And they'll come to your house and clean up after themselves, and they're fantastic. And their phone number is, and they're open on Monday through Sunday, 24 hours, 7 days a week. So call them at this number. They're located at this address. And as soon as they start giving all that information, that's a commercial. So you can't run, or you can't sell, and you can't run commercials on a non-commercial radio station. And you know the difference between a commercial as much as I do. It's not just the name. If it's just the name and they've made a donation, that's one thing. If they're running a commercial, that's another thing. You know what the commercial is. You know what a commercial sounds like. Everybody does. So the trivia question is, why do you think the FCC says you can't own a commercial radio station or television station or a publication if you are involved with a community access FM radio station? Think about it. It's a common sense kind of answer. And we'll have that and more with your calls. So whatever. And if you got something else, you want to talk about state parks, or you don't want to talk about community access radio stations, give us a call. We're happy to hear your opinions this morning. Something out there happened over the weekend. Maybe it was wonderful. Maybe it was a little troubling. Doesn't matter. We're open phones on a Monday. 474-2427, 23 minutes after 9 o'clock. We'll get to the phones right after this. It's the Rim Country Forum on KMOG in Payson, Arizona. Thank you for listening wherever you are around the world, listening at KMOGcountry.com on the internet. If you're in Indiana or Pennsylvania this morning, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's go to the phones and say hello. How are you today?
Good morning. It's just plain Bill. I'm not calling to answer your question to win a prize, but as you were speaking just now, I was reminded of a book I read many years ago called How to Win Friends and Influence People. Have you heard of the book?
What's it called again?
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Absolutely. Yep.
I think it's Errol Nightingale or Dale Nightingale. I don't know.
Yep. Dale Nightingale. Yep.
Much as I'm a big fan of yours, I can see how you sometimes might tend to alienate some people, like state employees, state people that run parks in the state. You know.
Well, I'm not trying to alienate the people. I'm just trying to fix the problem, because to me, it's just dumb as anything. And, it just defies logic why you would put the money and energy and resources into making something beautiful and then lock the doors and not let anybody come in and see it.
I understand that somebody in the state made a decision to run those things the way they do, or to hire the people they did.
Yeah.
And the difference being, of course, the commercial enterprise as opposed to the state-run enterprise. So somebody decided not to run the state enterprise like a commercial enterprise. And those people ought to be probably maintaining the parking lot.
Yeah.
Something where they can't offend anyone.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Or make any serious mistakes. Anyway, I'll hang up and listen. Great show. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Bill. Appreciate your call. And the letter's in the mail. It's 26 minutes after 9 o'clock. I'm Charlie Seraph, and this is the KMOG Forum, and we're just having some fun today. That's all. I'd like an explanation, really, more than anything. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me why. Good morning. Welcome to the Forum. Who's on the line?
This is Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Good morning. Not to change the subject or anything, but I was watching a YouTube program yesterday, and they had an investigator, I suppose you call him, on there who was in Phoenix, and I guess somewhere along the freeway there, they've taken all the signs down off of this huge motel, and he said that it's all barricaded off. They've got security guards there, and there's big buses out there where they're busing in these illegals and putting them inside this motel. And the security guard actually come up and talked to him while he was on the air there and told him he wasn't allowed in there or anything. And I was just wondering who is paying for all this, to bust these people in here and put them up in motels when they're illegals. And, I mean, are we as taxpayers the ones that are paying for all this, or...
Yeah, the winner, ding-a-ding-a-ding-ding, the winner. Yeah, exactly right, yeah. So I'm waiting for my income tax refund. I got a refund coming this year, which is, hallelujah, glory be. But, Joe, I haven't seen it, and I filed well before the deadline back in March, and... it's being held up, so I don't know if there's interest being earned on the money that they're not giving back to me or what. But
maybe you paid for this motel.
I probably did. Yeah, maybe they're using my refund there to to help those folks out, and it's a really. I got to get my blatant plug in for the book, but it really does make sense. It's called One Stupid Mistake, Smart Decision Making in a Crazy World, right? Well, it's a crazy world, and there's no debate about that. No one ever calls in and says, well, Charlie, I am a little offended that you're calling the world crazy, because it's just goofy. This stuff is goofy.
I've got to get your book. I'll listen to the rest of the show.
Well, thank you, Joe. Appreciate you. Thanks for your call. It's yeah. So let's we're bussing them in. They did it in Dallas. They did it into the convention center, so it wasn't exactly a secret. They had thousands of people that they're holing up in there. Of course, probably the accommodations aren't as nice as at a motel where you can board everything up. Good morning. Welcome to the forum. Who's on the line?
This is Chuck.
Hi, Chuck.
Howdy, good morning. Hey, the only thing I can figure out in regards to this state park deal is that I think they're probably going under the same pretense as some of these property managers and, commercial property managers and even like box store managers and stuff. If they have a budget and they stay within their budget or they don't spend the money in their budget, they get a certain percentage out of that budget was set because they didn't spend it.
Ooh.
And so probably it's the same factor in that aspect. In other words, like whoever's the head honcho on the park and rec deal for the state or for even federal is that they, all right, well, we won't spend all this money for cleanup and man labor and all that other stuff, toilet paper or whatever, supplies, and then I'll get that big bonus at the end of the year because we didn't spend it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to say it's COVID. Now, also, too, is that, the COVID deal is nothing to play around with, and it's a very serious deal. But on the other hand, too, there's a lot of people that play on that COVID thing now, more, just as much as they did when it was first brought into the spectrum to the public. But I think people are leaning on that, saying that that's what it is. It's just like workers that work for me. I had two guys that quit me out of the clear blue because they could make more money sitting at home, drinking beer and doing whatever they're doing, than work with me, and it really put me in a pickle, So it's just a sad state of affairs. But, follow the leader type thing. What I'm basically leading up to is that if the government is doing this, what do you think that the common man that works hard for a living is going to think? Well, if the government can do that, I'm going to do that.
Well, we hope not, Chuck. I mean, we really hope not. And honestly, I think there's a lot of young people who are taking advantage of the situation, and we can't be mad at them because they're just saying, well, here's the free money. You get to choose. Do you want to go to work or do you want to stay home? But I think when we get past the subterfuge and we really look at how many people are unemployed, the real number, not the number that the government's putting out there, but the real number of people that are not working right now, that's really scary. Because it's like anything else. If you don't move, pretty soon you can't move. And if you don't work, pretty soon you can't work. And if you can't work, you don't have much of a country if you can't get the job done. So
Right.
it's a little scary. You want to give us a firsthand report there with the sirens? Where were they? Which direction were they going?
They were going down 260 here. I'm out in front of AutoZone. I one of my commercial accounts here, and we just finished up. And I wanted to give you a call because I listen to you on headphones. I do not miss KMOG from basically from 6 in the morning until probably 10:15 in the morning, because sometimes there's a little overrun on your shows, and you're quite the commentator. So I'm serious. Hey, let me tell you a joke about that.
Okay.
Real quick. Okay, one day Irish Potato and New Potato had a little baby girl. They named her Sweet Potato. Well, one night at the dinner table, they were talking about different things throughout the day, and they asked Sweet Potato a question. They said, "Well, what do you have to say about anything in this conversation, our family conversation?" She goes, "Well, I figured out that I'm in love with Walter Cronkite." And they both looked at her. They said, "Walter Cronkite? How can you be in love with Walter Cronkite? You can't be in love with Walter Cronkite." And Sweet Potato says, "Well, I love him so, and I'm going to marry him someday." She goes, "There's no way, honey, because he's just a commentator." But anyway.
Yeah, that's a good one, Chuck. I think that'll be the best one of the day. It'll be hard to top that one. Appreciate your call. Thank you, buddy.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Talk to you. Bye. He's just a commentator. 27 minutes before 10 o'clock. That's funny. I didn't know where it was going. Did you anticipate the punchline of that joke? That's what really makes a good joke. If you can anticipate it, well, it's okay. But I did not see that coming at all. I did not see it. Good morning. Welcome to the forum. Who's on the line?
Hey, this is Bob.
Hi, Bob.
I don't know if you noticed in the roundup, the letter to the editor. Could I make a little announcement?
Sure.
It was entitled Panda Express. Would you like to have a Panda Express in Payson?
Well, Bob,
I need your help.
Yeah, I did read the letter, and I thought that was really interesting. And what do you think? Are you getting some support? Are people ringing their doorbell?
When I saw your letter, I'm gonna contact them, and I just wanted to see if this new audience would help. If they'd contact Panda Express at Connie, CONNIE .HOO at pandarg.com, and say, "Hey, we want Panda Express in Payson. I'm trying to get them here, and I need your help."
Yeah. Well, that's a good cause, Bob. Bob, I think that's interesting. I don't know how many. I guess everybody's probably eaten at a Panda Express at one time or other, but the food's always fresh because they're making it right in front of you there, and I like it. I'd probably eat there a couple times a week.
Okay.
And so I'm on board, and I will.
Hey, by the way.
Yes, sir.
By the way, our mutual friend Greg Freestat said you and I should get acquainted better. I'm acquainted.
Yes, he did tell me that as well. He just told me that last week when he was out, catching his limit of bass. We had a heck of a day on the lake. So, yeah, he schooled us. I got to tell you, he schooled us.
Well, hey, this hopefully this out of Panda Express is common sense today.
I think it's common sense. Makes common sense to me. I appreciate it, Bob. Thank you for your call.
Hey.
And if you missed that, the letter to the editor in the paper, and not everybody subscribes, so you might not have seen it, but you can find the corporate offices, and as he said, it's Connie Ho, I think it's HOO at Panda, and do a little search on the internet, or you could probably even find an 800 number for their corporate offices. And he's starting a campaign or trying to develop a campaign to get them to move to Payson. So we have another fast food option here. And they probably do really well, especially if they can find something on one of the main drags, either on 260 or Beeline. And there you go. So thank you for that, Bob. I appreciate your call. I bet somebody else got some common sense going here today, too, because it is a Monday, and we're just so happy to be back to work. It's our favorite day. What Chuck was saying is that there are a lot of people who aren't working right now because they don't want to work, and that's a problem for the country, and I agree 100%. But I used to work with a guy who just said, I hate Fridays and I love Mondays because Friday means I don't get to come to work the next 2 days, and I love Monday because I get to come to work. And he just had this real reverse psychology sort of attitude, and it probably made the week a lot faster for him. So if you are going to work today, it's Monday. Get up and get after it and feel good about it. And if you're retired and you're not going to work, go ahead and kick back and just relax and call me and tell me if you think you got a joke that can top that Irish and new potato and sweet potato. Oh man, I would love to hear it. 23 minutes before 10 o'clock here on a Monday morning with Charlie Seraphin on the Rim Country Forum on KMOG. It's the Rim Country Forum. It's a Monday. It's an open line program today, a Common Sense Monday, if you will. I'd like to hear from you. Still looking for an answer. I know someone can figure it out. Take a guess, even if you can't. But why do you think the FCC, in licensing low-power community access FM radio stations, said that if you own a commercial radio or TV station or a publication, you can't be associated with that? What do you think they said that? Anybody? Come on. Take a shot at it. You may be right, you may be not. I was going to give as a prize for the answer, or correct answer, or just a reasonable guess, a $25 value. It's the 4 CD set of One Stupid Mistake, Smart Decision Making in a Crazy World, with interesting pictures. My second book, which if you want to call and talk about common sense, you can end this misery right now. But my second book is I've finally locked in on the title, and it's called "When Did You Stop Being You?" Huh? When did you stop being you? In search of your personal brand. So it's a book about values, about people sometimes pretending to be somebody other than who they are. You probably don't know anybody like that, right? And how to get back in touch. Sometimes as we go through life, people put labels on us. They in contemporary terms, they brand us, and they say things like, "You're really good at that. Yeah, that's what you should do. You're really good at that." Or people tell you over and over, "You're really good at that." And then after a while you think like, "Oh, I'm really good at that." Whether you're really good at it or whether you really like doing it or not, so a lot of times you end up doing that. Or they say, "You're so beautiful," or "You're so smart," or what's worse is "You're so dumb." Do you know people in your life that their parents and everybody around them always told them how dumb they were? And pretty soon they start to believe it, and then they don't accomplish what they could accomplish because they have the stigma that's been pushed on them. And when that happens, people sort of drift away from their essence, what I would call your personal brand, the person that you are deep down, that you've always been. And in the Christian tradition, I believe that it's the person that you were before you were born, and the person that you will be long after you die. But we do that. We tend to do that to people. So this is a formula that I've tried to come up with of how to break loose of the notion that you are locked in to being the fake brand that the world has put on you. And I think we all suffer from that to some degree. Some less and some more. A lot of it has to do with parenting. If you have really good parents who give you a good sense of yourself and a lot of self-confidence, then you're probably less likely to be influenced by the negative stuff that goes on that the world tries to lay on you. But that's for another day and another discussion. 474-2427. I'm waiting for you here. I know you've got a thought. If you don't want to take a shot at trying to figure out before the program's over, I'll give you the answer of why the FCC came up with that. And it has something to do with combo. That's a key word, combo. Anybody that was out there in the competition that listening this morning that was at the cornhole tournament that the chamber put on Friday at the golf course? I'd like to hear from you too. Any of our competitors that we that we went up against? It really was fun. It was a lot of fun. And anybody representing state parks that can give me another? I think Chuck sort of hit it on the head. It's like, and I hadn't thought of that angle. That's a very interesting angle, that a lot of times people are incentivized by unspent budgets, which is a really, really negative, terrible way to run any kind of business, honestly, if you think about it. Because it says if you're not running at full capacity, if you, in my humble opinion, the only way to really, truly incentivize people is to incentivize them based on profit. So you say the profit is a function of maximizing revenue. So if you maximize revenue, you spend up to your budget, but not more than your budget, then you've done a great job and you're in line for a bonus. And the bonus should be paid gleefully. You know, I make money, you make money. Everybody is happy. Good morning. Welcome to the forum. Who's on the line?
Hey, Charlie. This is Don. How are you?
Hi, Don. Good. How are you?
Good. I was listening to the show and about the parks and the parks not closing and not opening, and I think they're following the guidance from the CDC and just trying to keep people out when they could, in fact, be open. And it's a wide open space. It's not like anybody's going to catch something from somebody when they're out in nature. And then the other thing is when people are labeled like you're talking about for let's say wearing a mask or not wearing a mask, and that could be again the CDC guidelines, and people get bullied or get labeled for not wearing their mask. They're called the person that is going to contaminate everybody out there that is.
Yeah, I heard a really interesting commentary from somebody, and I don't remember who it was, but they said that the biggest disappointment is not trusting in the intelligence and the community spirit of Americans, because the theory was that if the CDC had gone a different direction, instead of making the mandate and of making it the absolute rule and everything, and they said, we need your help. Come along with us. Help us participate. We're going to knock this thing down. We need a break. So keep your distance from strangers. Don't breathe on one another if you don't have to. Wear a mask if you're indoors in a crowded place, and so on and so forth. But made it a kind of a recommendation and said this will really help. That the vast majority of people would have gone along with it, and without all of the stigma and the divisiveness that we've had. And just like you said, there's some people, if you're an anti-masker, then you think the people who are wearing the masks, there's something wrong with them. And if you're a pro-masker, then you think that the people who aren't wearing masks are evil and trying to spread germs and that kind of thing. And it just didn't have to come to that. There was another alternative, but it was never put out to have any trust that people would do the right thing. And the people who and there are a lot of examples of this, but the people who went into the social gatherings where there were thousands of people, or the protests and that sort of thing, and they had those mass spreading opportunities, well, that was their choice. And if they went out, and if some of them got sick from it, boy, they got sick from it. And if they got so sick that they were permanently damaged or killed, God forbid, but it was their choice. They did that. It's kind of like, driving the speed limit or not driving the speed limit. The speed limit is set up there, and it says, it should be, 50 miles an hour on this curve. But if you want to try to take it at 75, it's on you. And unfortunately, the people in your car and other people are at risk too. But I don't know. It's just always been. This has been a really hard time, and I don't think the people in charge at the top made it any better.
No, I think they spread mistrust, and so those people that got that, or watching what's coming out of Fauci, who I don't trust. I think he's just full of garbage. He waffles so much, and then you see him with pictures out and about where he's not wearing a mask, and then he's saying wear a mask, and people are like, well, I don't think so, and then you don't necessarily feel like, well, this is a conspiracy. We're gonna not take the shot because of, and then also with this new guideline, when they put that chart out where people can go to certain places without a mask now, and then you're curtailing activities for people who don't have a shot. And like I was listening to the radio station this morning, and they're saying, well, there was some doctor or somebody who went to school, and their studies were all about lying and cheating. And so those people now who don't have masks or who don't have a shot are falling into that group of liars and cheaters. And so now they're going to cheat the system and not get their shots, and be honest about it. And so what do you do with those people? Do you punish those people? No, I don't think you punish those people. Those are American citizens, and we don't have the right to punish those people. But President Biden, Joe Biden, is talking about now getting those vaccine passports, which harkens back to Nazi Germany, where we're walking around with extra papers. Why do we have to walk around with papers to say who we are?
Yeah.
I don't want to have to carry around something extra besides my driver's license. That's a load of garbage.
Yeah, it's it's scary, Don, isn't it? It's really scary what's come out of this whole thing. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
For a common sense program, it just doesn't make sense. It's not.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's been linear or logical about it, right from the get-go.
Can I make one more point?
Absolutely.
I'll let you go.
Absolutely.
So I was reading the news this morning at Breitbart, and they had this article about this lieutenant colonel in the Space Force. He's an Air Force lieutenant colonel. It's Armed Forces Month. I'm a service member, and he is being relieved of his command because he wrote a book about critical race theory in the military and how it's destroying the military from within, and it's part of Marxism to do that. And so his senior leaders are now punishing him, and it's an interesting story. And so during Armed Forces Month, it's just it just comes back to me as that Stalinistic type purge where they, in that communist Marxism country, he started purging the military to get those type of people out who were those leaders that needed to be there, and have those ones that were around that were going to do his bidding to take care of the rest of the country that actually went under that iron fist and rule. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Well, I appreciate that, Don, and thank you for your service. Every time we speak, I thank you for your service, and I know you've given a lot. I just think that in your experience, don't you think it's the people who are doing that? There's a small percentage of people at the top, but the vast majority of people, especially the enlisted men and women, those are patriots. And I don't think they're going to go along with it. I really don't. I don't see them getting in lockstep on this critical race theory or any of the Marxist philosophies that they're trying to push through. I don't see that happening. I think that at some point there's going to be a major backlash and a pushback from the patriots who make up our armed services. Not necessarily the top brass, because those are politicians, but the people who are really getting the job done, controlling the weaponry and all that sort of thing. To me, I don't get it. I can't believe. I hope not, anyway.
Well, I'll tell you, the way it starts out the article is the gist of the vignettes that they're giving out they're saying that the January 6th issue or incursion at the Capitol.
At the Capitol, yeah.
Is the whole spinoff of the critical race theory and issue that they're talking about with the military, and that's how it all starts off. And then the Capitol breach, and then they talk about other types of right-wing type of incidents. But in no way do they talk about riots in Portland or other states where they're like Wisconsin, where they're burning down the cities. They just talk about one-sided type of incidents. And so that's how it all begins. And I'm hoping, I don't know how the military would combat that or even come to grips with that because of Lloyd Austin and what's going on. It's such a because the military serves the public and is there to do that in the country, and it's not a political tool. But they have spun it into such a political tool. It's a quandary,
Yeah.
So, but thank you. I appreciate what you do, and I just want to say thanks for what you do.
Well, thank you for what you have done and what you continue to do, and you're very well informed, and I appreciate you sharing with us this morning. 5 minutes until 10 o'clock. You're listening to the Rim Country Forum. Maybe have a reaction to one of the comments that somebody's made, Don or Bob or Chuck or Joe or Bill. We've got some ladies listening out there this morning. Haven't heard from you yet, and we'd love to hear from you. 474-2427. Let's go back to the phone. Say good morning. Welcome to the forum. Who's on the line?
Hi, Charlie. It's Dave.
Hi, Dave.
I was going to guess to try to get the tape.
Okay, come on, Dave. Give it a shot.
The combo, is it AM and FM radio?
No, it's not that. It's close.
Oh, close.
Close,
Okay.
kind of close.
Something about band.
No, it's not about the band so much. It's
The strength of the radio?
the second part of it is it's called combo sales. That's your hint. What do you think the FCC that was trying to prohibit or keep from happening?
Okay, well, I'll give up on that, but common sense thing, I was going to say the council was voting on whether, to approve the rodeo, and they said they can't give them any gift, any extra money to run the rodeo, but we pay the Chamber of Commerce $3,000 a month, and they don't tangibly give back any money to the town tangibly. I mean, we might get more sales tax money than tourism, but there's no tangible money coming back to the town, and so they were picking on the rodeo, but not the chamber. So I'll let you go.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, Dave. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? We learn something new every day. I can cross that one off my list. What is that? All right, since we only have a couple of minutes left here, and I got to get. Well, first I got an open line. I got one more commercial we got to take care of, and I'll be back. Either you'll give me the answer, or I'll give it to you. It's the Rim Country Forum. Let's go back to the phone. Say good morning. Welcome to the forum. Who's on the line?
Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
So does it have something to do with conflict of interest?
Well, it does, as a matter of fact, yeah. And more specifically, Teresa, we're going to make you a winner just because you were strong enough to stand up and make that call, make the dial. But here's how it works. If you owned a commercial radio station and you sold a commercial for $10, let's say, but you had an association with a low-powered FM station, then you could take some of that money and you could run a commercial on the low-powered FM, or you could just run it through the books there, and then it would be, guess what, tax-free. Right? Because as a business, you sell advertising and you pay a business tax based on your income. But if you're in a nonprofit, you don't pay income tax because theoretically you don't have any income, you just have donations. So the reason that the FCC won't allow a radio station or a television station or a publication to be involved with one of these low-power community FMs is because if they do, the temptation is there to kind of mix up the books, or to come back and say, we'll give you a sponsorship on the low power community access FM station if you buy some commercials on our regular station. So it defeats the purpose. And so the FCC sort of saw that one coming, and that's why they put that firm line in there that you can't be a newspaper, can't be radio, can't be TV, anything that sells advertising, because the temptation would be too great either to sell advertising on the non-commercial radio, low power radio station. That would be one. Or the other part of it would be that you might run the numbers through the nonprofit instead of through the profit, and then you wouldn't have to pay taxes. Yeah. So, Teresa, you're the winner. You win a 4-CD set of One Stupid Mistake, Smart Decision Making in a Crazy World. I'll leave it at the front desk here. You come by and pick it up. I'll put your name on it. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you listening today. We've got great programs lined up all week long. We're going to have a lot of fun. Hope that you'll join us for those. I want to thank the Dana Law Group, Banner Health, Payson Medical Center, Pinnacle Propane, Realty Executives Arizona Territory, the Owens Law Firm, and Sunshine Cleaning and Restoration for their sponsorship of the forum, and appreciate you the most. Thanks for being great listeners. We'll see you again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock here on KMOG Payson. Right now, it's 10 o'clock. 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 Now, it's 10 o'clock.